Hello everyone and welcome to the Happy Life Podcast. Before we begin, for those of you who are new to this podcast, this is a place where I mainly share two main topics: personal financial management skills and life experiences that I have accumulated. Now we will start today's topic together. A few days ago, I had a conversation with a few students. Initially, the conversation revolved around financial stories and life experiences. However, towards the end, I received a question from a young man. This question reflects a very common reality in our society today, so I decided to share his story and my perspectives on this issue with you, hoping it will be helpful, especially for young people. His story is roughly as follows: he and his girlfriend have known each other since their university years. Now, both have graduated and started stable jobs, so they are planning to get married to settle down and focus on building their careers. To be honest, I was a bit surprised when I heard this because they are still very young, only 24 or 25 years old, having just graduated a few years ago. They have a long life ahead of them, but somehow they chose the path of getting married early. However, thinking it over, this story is not unique. In fact, it is quite the opposite. It is a very common story in our society. What I am about to share with you in today's episode is actually the minority view. But before diving into the main content, I have a few notes, just like every time we discuss somewhat sensitive topics or content that goes against the crowd. I would like to state up front that I will not entertain any debates or opposing opinions. Everything I share is solely for the purpose of providing you with an additional perspective. I always believe that before making any important decision, we should have as many viewpoints on the matter as possible. Once we have a comprehensive picture, each of you can then choose the path that best suits yourself. Those are a few notes before we begin. Now let's get back to the main story. If we pay attention to our surroundings, we will notice a very common habit. It is so prevalent that most people follow it almost like an unconditioned reflex. As we grow up, we automatically start searching for a lover, and once we have one, we begin to think about getting married and having children. Almost everyone does this. By high school, people start dating, and some even start earlier. By the time they are in college, it seems strange if someone doesn't have a partner. When they graduate without having been in a relationship, they are seen as rare creatures. If they reach 30 without being married, it is considered alarming, especially for women. By 40, if they are still single, they are often viewed as failures. This formula is so common that almost everyone follows it. Anyone who does not or does things differently is considered weird or abnormal. However, let's analyze whether this is really reasonable. When we analyze it, we will see that the most beautiful and mature period for a man is not at the age of 18 or 20, nor even 30. It is from the age of 40 onwards, or if it comes earlier, from the age of 35 onwards. At that age, a man is mature in every aspect, from awareness to personality, career, and finances. At the ages of 18, 20, or even 24 or 25, just after graduating from university, most men are still boys. This is the time when we lack experience the most, not only in work but in life in general. The only thing we have at that age is youth and enthusiasm. Combined with the general situation that most of us don't have much to lose, this is the ideal period for us to experience life. The more experiences we accumulate, the richer our life capital will become. This life capital will be a crucial foundation for building a family and raising children in the future. Now let's look at the lives of those who get married and have children too early. At that time, even they themselves have not accumulated enough life capital, so how can they teach their children? What do they have to pass on to them? This is just the first aspect concerning life capital and life experience. The second factor is career. In most cases, they do not yet have a career, they are still at the initial steps in their career. Ideally, this should be the time to focus on improving knowledge and striving to build a career. However, they take on significant responsibilities like building a family and, even more challenging, raising children. Consequently, they will not have much mental energy, strength, or time to focus on their careers. Comparing this to their peers who are fully concentrating on their careers, it is obvious that they will fall behind in the race. Finally, another equally important factor is money and finances. First, let's talk about financial management skills, which also stem from life experience. Having just gone through a period of being financially supported by their families, and now stepping into the world with only a few years of work experience, it is natural that they lack financial management experience. Investment experience is even more distant. At this stage, their savings are minimal, making it very easy for them to fall into a cycle of living paycheck to paycheck or even accumulating debt. Financial pressures combined with the substantial pressures of family life and raising children, all on a foundation of lacking life experience and maturity in handling problems, can easily predict the outcomes these families will face. As I mentioned earlier, if one is single, they possess two significant advantages at this stage: youth and the fact that they have little to lose. If they lose everything, it does not affect anyone else, and they can completely start over. Therefore, this is the most ideal period to experience life and build one's future. By the way, I'd like to share more. There are 4 factors that I think are the most important and suitable for us to accumulate during this period. The first is knowledge. We should try to learn as much as possible, equip ourselves with a lot of knowledge, learn foreign languages, and acquire many other skills such as communication or presentation, as well as specialized knowledge to support our work. From this knowledge, we apply it to our jobs, trying to do our best in everything, exceeding the company's goals and expectations. Gradually, we will advance. This advancement is like the concept of compound interest. It may grow slowly at first, but it will accelerate over time. As long as we maintain focus and perseverance throughout this advancement process, we will move faster and faster. We should try to build and accumulate finances. Imagine that by the age of 30, when we start thinking about building a family, we already have a significant amount of capital, or even better, we have achieved financial freedom. Our lives and our families' lives will be much more stable. Alongside everything I just mentioned, we should also try to experience life and the world to accumulate more life experience. The world out there is vast with too many things for us to experience. There is no reason for us to focus solely on experiencing one thing, like love and family, only to find that this sole focus becomes a barrier, preventing us from achieving other things. What I'm saying may sound a bit negative, but that's the reality. You can ask anyone who has experienced family life and raising children, and we all know that once we have kids, we hardly have any time, at least until they grow up. However, even when they grow up, our way of experiencing life will be very different. There is a saying that I find very apt: getting married too early is like going to a party and leaving at 8 p.m., leaving before the party has even officially started. When we look at everything fundamentally like this, we realize that constantly searching for love and focusing on starting a family when we are still very young is a very unreasonable choice. At that age, we are still too young to know what we truly want, and in my opinion, the most reasonable approach when you don't know what you want is not to bet your entire life on anything. Some may say, isn't it true that we need to settle down to have a stable career? Shouldn't we first stabilize our lives before building our careers and then pursuing other goals? Isn't that easier? My answer lies in the points I've just analyzed. In my observation, except for a very small portion of people who are fortunate enough to have a peaceful and stable family life, most people find that starting a family too early is what leads to instability. This stems from a lack of maturity, a lack of knowledge and financial foundation, which makes our own family unstable. From this unstable family life, we lose the mental capacity to do anything else, resulting in us being stuck in that mess, unable to escape. Society condemns things like gambling or drugs because once entangled in them, it is very difficult to get out, and if we can't escape, they will destroy our future. What I am saying may be harsh, but marriage and family life when we are too young are no different from the aforementioned issues. Even those with a lot of experience and maturity face repeated failures. How can those of you who are just starting out in life expect to succeed, especially if the person you marry is the first person you love? The likelihood of failure is much higher, and failing in this regard has consequences akin to those of gambling or drugs because sometimes it can change a person's entire life. In this collection, I do not intend to denounce love or to suggest that we shouldn't start a family. My main point is that when we are young, we should focus on things that I believe are more important, such as building knowledge, experiencing life, establishing a career, and building financial foundations. During this process, if possible, we should avoid getting entangled in romantic relationships, especially for young men, as it is a waste of time. If we solidify these elements first, then at some point when we start a family, that family will be much more stable. Some opposing views suggest that if we follow my advice, should we wait until we are really skilled and have a lot of money before we can love? To a certain extent, for young men, I think this is true. If you don't have anything in hand yet, no solid experience, no life experience, no career, in short, nothing at all, why not enjoy the freedom you have now and focus on building those things instead of burdening yourself with responsibilities that are not suitable and too overwhelming? It's similar to just graduating from school and instead of striving to advance from the first positions, you immediately take on the position of chairman of a corporation. There will be a few exceptional cases who can do it and succeed, but for the majority, it will be too much and they will give up. However, even if you don't agree with my suggestion and still want to love, that's fine. But determine that you love in moderation. Hearing the phrase, love in moderation, might make some people disagree with me, wondering how to love in moderation. My point is that you can love, but don't let love overshadow all other aspects of life. Consider it as an experience to accumulate for the future because, ultimately, love follows the same rule: the more you experience, the more you gain experience. The more experience you have, the better you will know how to compromise and build your family in the future. Unlike young people who marry their first love and live together, sometimes even minor conflicts can lead to moving back to their parents' house. This means you are using your future life to accumulate experience, which is extremely risky. However, there's a crucial point here: even if you love, you must equip yourself with a firm understanding of yourself to avoid having children. Once you have children, everything will turn completely upside down, and the story will become 100 times more complicated, no longer limited to just the two of you. Therefore, during this young age, avoid having children as much as possible. To summarize, from my perspective, during the ages of 20 to 30, we should enjoy our freedom, use it to experience as much as possible, and dedicate time and effort to building knowledge, careers, and finances. If you happen to fall in love, do so moderately, and don't rush into thinking about starting a family or having children. Your life is still very long. This is the planting stage, not the harvesting stage. If you can do this, I believe your future selves will be very grateful to you. These are a few of my thoughts on this matter. I will conclude my talk here today. If you find this content helpful, please share it with your friends and family. Additionally, as usual, because YouTube's algorithm prioritizes videos with many likes, if you liked this video, please click the like button to help more people discover our podcast. Thank you for watching, and I wish you a peaceful evening.